Nothing took America by surprise in contemporary time like the 9/11 attacks. The attacks were audacious and done in broad daylight. It was devastating and unbelievable. America was taken by surprise, and the world was shocked beyond description. In this edition of Back in History, we bring to you the story of the attacks on the Twin Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City, which occurred on September 11, 2001. We discuss the events that took place shortly before the attacks, the number of persons that died in the attacks, the rescue efforts, which also became disastrous and consumed lives of firefighters and police officers, the response of President George W. Bush in the aftermath of the attacks, and the effects of the attacks on the global community and the way of life of people in general. Welcome to this edition of Back in History. September 11 was like any other day. American citizens woke up from sleep and began the day's activities with no premonition about what the day held in store for America. Workers and visitors arrived at the World Trade Center in the early hours of the day from several parts of America and from several parts of the world, prepared to settle in and work in their offices for the day or catch up with appointments. The World Trade Center was always a beehive of activities, with thousands of people arriving the premises every day. Most of the workers and visitors had greeted and kissed family members at home before leaving to the World Trade Center. None of them knew that they were kissing family members for the last time in their lives and that they were not going to return home to meet with them again. A group of terrorists, 19 in number, had concluded plans to destroy the World Trade Center and kill scores of humans there. To give effect to this plan, 4 commercial airliners were hijacked by them. The pilots were overpowered by the terrorists, who then took control of the airliners. The airliners were large and loaded with large quantity of fuel. The first attack occurred at exactly 8:46 a.m. when one of the hijacked planes, American Airlines Flight 11, was crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. This first attack was construed by some observers to be an accident. Unknown to them, a second attack was on its way. Exactly 17 minutes after, a second plane, United Airlines Flight 175, crashed into the South Tower of the World Trade Center. At this point, there was no doubt that America was under attack. Each structure was badly damaged by the impact of the crash, and the structures erupted into flames immediately. Scores of humans were killed directly, while others died in the process of trying to run to safety. While America was trying really hard to understand what exactly was going on, a third crash occurred. This time, the Pentagon, the United States Defense Headquarters, was hit. This occurred at exactly 9:37 a.m. Scores of humans were also killed. America then had more to worry about. While still trying to grapple with these 3 devastating attacks, the fourth one occurred, and America was shaken to its marrow. A fourth aircraft, a United Airlines Flight 93, crashed near Shanksville in the Pennsylvania countryside after its passengers attempted to overpower the hijackers. Scores of humans perished in the crash. America was shaken beyond description. No one had ever attacked America in such magnitude on the American soil. Investigators revealed that the target of the fourth plane was either the United States Capitol or the White House, but the plan was frustrated by some brave passengers who struggled seriously in the cockpit with the hijackers. Rescue operations began almost immediately as the country and the world sought to come to grips with the enormity of the losses. Nearly 3,000 people had perished. When the counts were taken, a total of 2,750 people had been killed in the World Trade Center at New York, while 184 people were killed at the Pentagon. At Pennsylvania, 40 people were killed. In essence, a total of 2,974 innocent lives had been lost in 4 coordinated attacks on America. America was not going to be the same again. All 19 terrorists that carried on the attacks also died in the 4 crashes. It is important to note that included in the total number of persons that died in New York were 400 police officers and firefighters who had rushed to the World Trade Center in their bid to quench the fire and rescue the victims. Sadly, they ended up as victims of the same ferocious attacks. All flights were immediately suspended in America. Every measure that needed to be taken to forestall further attacks were taken. The FBI, the CIA, the police, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and every security agency in America was up in arms and ready to protect America to the best of their abilities and to even pay the supreme price for the safety of America. At exactly 8:30 p.m., President George W. Bush addressed the nation from the Oval Office in a speech that laid out a key doctrine of his administration's future foreign policy. He assured Americans of his administration's determination to get to the root of the attacks and to forestall further occurrences. He stated inter alia, quote, "We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them," end of quote. On September 14, President Bush visited Ground Zero, the smoking pile of debris of what remained of the World Trade Center and the thousands who had perished there. Standing on top of a wrecked fire truck, President Bush grabbed a bullhorn to address the rescue workers working feverishly to find any survivors. When one of the workers said that he could not hear what the president was saying, President Bush made one of the most memorable remarks when he quickly said, quote, "I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear from all of us soon," end of quote. For President Bush, the attacks were unacceptable and drastic actions needed to be taken with immediate effect. The world was never going to be the same again. For many years, this attack was to be retaliated by America and its allies. The United States formally responded by launching the war on terror and invading Afghanistan to depose the Taliban regime. The war lasted for years and also had its toll, with scores of American soldiers and civilians losing their lives in the process. A number of persons suspected to be involved in terrorism were arrested from around the world by American forces and detained mainly at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, where they were routinely interrogated for years. America also embarked on the reconstruction of the World Trade Center. The physical and symbolic void left by the destruction of the Twin Towers was filled on November 3, 2014, with the opening of what is now known as One World Trade Center, a 1,776-foot skyscraper which instantly became a new landmark on the Manhattan skyline. Adjacent to One World Trade Center are the National September 11 Memorial and Museum, completed in 2011 and 2014 respectively. The Memorial Plaza is also made up of what has been described as the largest man-made waterfalls in North America. The waterfalls are edged by bronze panels inscribed with the names of the victims of the September 11 attacks, as well as the names of the 6 people who died as a result of the truck bombing of the World Trade Center in February 1993. The memorial and plaza were designed by architects Michael Arad and Peter Walker, winners of a design competition that featured 5,201 submissions from 63 countries across the world. There is also a museum, and the museum's memorial hall is adorned with 2,983 tiles representing the victims of the September 2001 and February 1993 attacks at the World Trade Center. At the center of the tiles is a quote which reads thus: "No day shall erase you from the memory of time." End of quote. The 9/11 attacks on America resulted in huge fatalities and countless number of injuries and substantial long-term health consequences. Analysts have stated that at least $10 billion in infrastructure and property damage was lost to the attacks. 9/11 remains the deadliest terrorist attack in human history, as well as the deadliest aviation-related disaster and the single deadliest incident for firefighters and law enforcement officers in US history. And the history of the attacks shall remain in the history books of the world for many more years to come. Thanks for watching this episode of Back in History, and do remember to subscribe to the channel or follow the page for regular notification on every new video.